All right, now let's piss everybody off about authorities. It is our recommendation that if you are a company driver and you have zero business experience, that the least risky move for you to make if you desire to be an owner operator is to lease onto a carrier, not get your own authority. If you hear the sound of my voice right now and you have your own authority and you've had it for 2 years or 5 years and you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing and you're profitable and your business is thriving, congratulations. You have my absolute utmost respect because what you're doing is difficult. But I cannot in good conscience recommend that someone with zero business experience go buy a truck and a trailer and go get their own authority, because your risk level of failing goes up exponentially versus you leasing to a carrier that can help insulate you from a lot of the regulatory problems that you may have, and you can get your feet wet and build up your strength while leased to a carrier. And then if it is your heart's desire to go get your own authority and put your own name and numbers on the door, then by God, more power to you. So I put out my disclaimer, but I want to hear you talk about the reality of going from zero to having your own authority, and the risks and or benefits, pros, cons from your perspective, because you've been doing this a long ass time.
Well, Chris, I've seen a lot of folks come through and get authorities. It's funny. We had a surgeon, a brain surgeon, came to our office, sat down with us, and very, very cool guy after we realized what he did for a living before, but he got tired of it. He said, I want to see the roads. He said, I want to get out there and do things. He said, but I don't know all the rules and regs, so I need somebody to help. And so the people that we helped get authorities were some of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Problem is even though he could be a brain surgeon, you really think he could drive a big truck? Nobody knew, but he had the money. So he bought him a fancy truck, and had a big sleeper in the back. Him and his wife was going to just travel all the time and only take so many loads a month just so they can travel. But what people don't understand is everything you have to do from the beginning to the end. It's all the unexpected things that are going to happen. Okay. You are required underneath all these rules and regs from the federal government, IRS, state government, counties, cities. You got all these regulations over you. Your only benefit is there's so many of them. It's hard for anybody. It's impossible for anybody to understand or really understand and know every one of those rules. And by the time you think you know them, they've changed. Mm-hmm. I've had people call me from port of entry before going, hey, you've got my permits. You got us legal. And this guy says, I'm not going anywhere. And we had to educate the gentleman at the port about new laws that came about that he didn't know about. But it took a while. Next, you get the guy to leave. Folks at SpaceX was much happier and they went on their way. The problem with today's thing is you got to understand there is a lot of regs, but you don't have to be a brain scientist to do trucking. You don't. Right. I mean, think about it. You get up, you turn 12 or 13 and your dad says, all right, son, come sit on my lap. You're going to drive my truck with me. Okay. All right. I'm going to show you how to use this truck back here in our big field here at a ranch. That's where we get it from. But nobody tells you what it feels like coming down from the Eisenhower Tunnel with 120,000 pounds and you hit ice and you can't stop. Mm-hmm. And now you're looking not only at your life, but all the people in front of you and behind you that you're putting at risk. It's dangerous. I don't think it's kind of like, I wish, this world says you got to have a driver's license to drive a vehicle. This world says you got to have a marriage license to get married. But they sure in the heck don't say you have to have a kid's license to have a damn kid. But they should. Think about it. There's a lot of kids out there will probably be much happier if their mom and dad didn't get that license. Okay. But I will tell you too, some of the kids actually changed their parents and made them better people. So I guess we do need to have some of that. But that regulation back 1989, you had to go to, if you hauled toilet paper from Houston, Texas to Dallas, Texas, it was regulated. That means that only so many people in this world could haul that specific product between those points. And so you want to start a company. You want to start hauling toilet paper between Houston and Dallas. You go in front of the Railroad Commission in Texas. You do a petition saying, I have somebody who's willing to pay me to haul their toilet paper. They have a need. I've got a truck. I've got a good rating with the DOT. At that point, sure, you could get an authority. Problem is those guys that had those authorities forever that are worth millions and millions and millions of dollars just sitting there, it's because they would go there and they said, nope, petition, no, sir. We can still cover those loads as well. Oh, well, sorry, Mr. Stronchek, all the time you put into this trying to get this done, but no, this company over here, they just add another truck. They can do the same thing. And so they would not allow fleets to get legal. Then you had to get federal authority. Now you want to haul from state to state, interstate move. Well, now it even got more complicated because are you exempt? Are you for hire? Are you private? Are you hauling passengers? What are the things you're doing? And it really isn't that complicated. It's just when you look at it from a state to state different level, you don't realize what you're going to get into. So this guy in Beaumont, Texas, had 20 trucks, had a pretty good business, but he was going under. And the reason he was going under is because the state of Texas charged them 20 cents per gallon tax on their fuel. Louisiana, which they traveled to a lot, came back, the two state jurisdictions that they traveled, their tax rate was 20 cents. But he got great fuel in Beaumont. He got his own bulk facilities and everything, so he bought in a quantity. But he had to pay Louisiana 20 cents for every gallon he burned during that quarter by the end of the quarter. Texas says, oh, yeah, you overpaid tax in my state, but give me 4 quarters, then I'll pay you back. Mm-hmm. Wait a minute. At $20,000, $40,000 to $60,000 in tax times, 12? Mm-hmm. That's how much you're going to have to fund just to pay your taxes back then. And then IFTA came. Sure, that made things easier. Oh, you owe this state money, the state owes you money back. It comes together. But what it really didn't do is open the eyes for those guys to realize it's a little more complicated. And if you go work for a Landstar, somebody that's got their stuff together, they've been through this, they've done it, and they'll let you work as hard as you want to work or as little as you want to work. But the key is you've got somebody there to help support you in that venture. Don't just jump in a truck and say, I'm going to drive a truck because I've always wanted to. You better spend a little time and look at what's coming before you end up hitting a brick wall.